So continue from previous challenge, we provide you with another opportunity to create a recursive function to solve a problem. We have defined a function called range of numbers with two parameters. The function should return an array of integers which begins with a number represented by the start num parameter and end with a number represented by the end num parameter. The starting number will always be less or equal to the ending number. Your function must use recursion by calling itself and not use loops of any kind. It should also work for cases where both start num and end num are the same. Alright, so let's clear our board. So in this function, there is a start num and an end num parameter passed to the function, right? So the base, so as remember I said before that to solve any recursion problems, there's always a base case, and then there's always a recursive case where the number calls on itself. So the base case is actually when both the start num and the end num are the same, as stated in the question. So start num, when it equals to end num, then that is the base case. And what about the recursive case? So what happens when you do the recursive case? So the recursive case should return an array of integers to begin number and be less than the ending number. So when start num is smaller than the end num, that is going to be the recursive case. So what happens when start num and end num are the same? We're going to cheat a little bit. So it should return the number, either the start num or the end num, since they're going to be the same. But let's just use end num for now. All right, and for the recursive case, the start num is smaller than the end num. So we're going to go back to our example here. So remember how we talked about that earlier? If let's say we were to let's say the array 1, 2, 3, 4 is what we want to return. This would be the end num, right? And this would be the start num. We're always starting from the base case, right? Which is 4. If we were to add numbers like, in this direction, then we will use the push function since we're adding towards the end of the array. But since we're adding numbers in front of the array, we should always use unshift. Now that is the biggest catcher when you're trying to solve a recursive function that involves with arrays. So when the start num is smaller than the end num, we should always say that the start num is always +1 since it's increasing, right? And then we should unshift it in this direction of the array since we're adding to the array. So let's code that up right here, right now. If start num is equal to end num, and we should return start num, right? Or else right, let's define a variable. Well, start num is going to +1 since after each recursion, we want this number to increase, right? But we also want it to increase, but at the same time add it in front of the base case. See if this works, and it works. Yeah, so if we go through a loop, right, what's gonna happen is that it's gonna go with start num and end num. Let's say if we do a case where range of numbers 1 to 3, right, just to keep it simple, it's gonna go through this loop here, right? Since 1 does not equal to 3, it's gonna go through this loop here They'll call 1 plus 1 to n_num2, right? So it's going to go to 1 plus 1, which is 2, 3. All right, it's going to plus this function here on shift. Forward space. Gonna go through unshift of 2. Right. In this case, it's gonna call 3 and 3 plus unshift. Now it's gonna call 3 and 3. Now since 3 and 3 is going to be equal, right? So it's just going to return the start num. So what's gonna happen is that after the first recursion, you're gonna, which this is going to be calculated first. So 3 is going to be calculated. Then you're going to have the unshift here, which is the second action, 2, right? So, and then after all that is called, you're gonna have the last action, which is actually the action here, which is the unshift 1. And that is how you get the answer of 1, 2, 3 when it comes to recursion. Now, I hope this lesson, I hope my explanation is not too confusing for you to understand. Hope the visuals helped a little bit. I'm not the best algorithm guy, but if let's say this did help you, let me know what I can improve, because I know this is my first lesson here on YouTube, and if it didn't help you, then let me know what I could improve. Also had the vaccine yesterday, so thank you very much. Have a good day.